Hey, greetings, everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, and welcome to another episode of our Chairman Chats. Tonight, we have a really great show. We've got a congressional candidate by the name of Fabian Vasquez, who is running for Texas Congressional District 33. And then we also have Judy Nichols, who is the chairman of the Jefferson County Republican Party. I think we're going to have a great discussion, and we're going to start off with Fabian. Congressional candidate Fabian Vasquez with us. Fabian is a Texas native, third-generation Hispanic, single father, strong believer in his faith, a servant in his church and community. Fabian has served years in public service, including church outreach, back-to-school bashes, food drives, and serving the homeless needs in his community. He has over 20 years experience in both business management and in the medical field, specializing in orthopedics and biologics. Hopefully my southern accent did not butcher that. Fabian continues to fight for District 33 on a platform of faith, family, and freedom, with a message that is clear and empowering. His campaign continues to bring awareness, educate, and empower those individuals he meets all across the district to make an informed decision for their families, to vote, but to vote conservative principles and values. His campaign motto is, "We get to serve." Fabian, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here at Chairman Chats.
My dear friend, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, thank you for having me.
Hey, look, give the folks a little bit about your background and a little bit of background about Congressional District 33 there on the southwest kind of side of Fort Worth.
Yeah, so Texas 33rd Congressional District includes portions of both Dallas and Tarrant counties. It's about 212 square miles across, currently occupied by an incumbent Democrat, Mark Vesey, who has never been removed from office as of yet. District 33 is one of the lowest income districts in Texas. According to a third-party census, the average CAPA income per person is $16,000 annually. The poverty rate is over 21.3%. Now, those numbers were before the COVID-19 pandemic. Hispanics do make up 69.3%, followed by Black Americans just at over 16%. Shockingly, only 61.3%, Lieutenant Colonel, graduate high school, and 10.9% graduate with a bachelor's degree. District 33 is primarily Democrat. It was designed that way. You can ask any political strategist, they will tell you that it's almost impossible to flip. We face poverty, unemployment, in need of both corporate and small businesses development, revamping in our education freedom, and in need of infrastructure. Every day we face these challenges. Clearly, there is incompetence and weak leadership at hand.
Now, how long has Congressman Vesey been in the position to represent that district?
Yeah, so he's been there since 2013 when the district first took effective. And since then, there's never been a Hispanic, much less a conservative, to be able to challenge him with such numbers.
So this district was a result from the last round of redistricting back 2012.
That is correct, yes.
Now, when you look at this district, and one of the things that I've always kind of had a little angst about with Republicans is they always seem to have a defeatist mentality or attitude, and they consistently say, hey, you know, these are districts that we can't win, we don't need to worry about it. But yet, when I listen to you describe that district, that's the exact type of district we should be trying to get our strong constitutional conservative message, because the principles and values are what those people need in District 33. How can you get that message out?
Absolutely. Well, very important. As the next congressman for District 33, we have a lot of work to do for the American people. You know, this current 116th Congress, controlled by the Democrats, have wasted over 3.5 years of doing nothing for the American people, and has done everything to cause division and continues to try to remove a president from office. I will continue as the next congressman to support our president by putting America first policies such as security and protect the sovereignty of our nation. I believe we must finish the wall, secure our borders from drug cartels, drug smuggling, sex trafficking, illegal crime, and illegal border crossing. Continue to upgrade our checkpoints, both with personnel and technology. Let me be clear, make no mistake. I welcome everyone to the United States, but do it through the correct and legal process. We have to also address fiscal responsibility, safeguard Social Security, and address educational reform, which I advocate to bring back the basic skills of math and money, how to budget a balanced checkbook and how to manage credit card debt, how to do your own taxes. The latest statistics report that 70% of Americans have less than $1,000 saved in their bank accounts. That's shocking, but it's fact. Now, I also would advocate to bring back carpenter woodshop, mechanical workshops, and even home ec classes back into our schools curriculum. We lost those trades in which we desperately need. Also, which may be considered radical or too political. I, for one, believe in the sanctity of innocence of human life. Mm-hmm. I would introduce and support a bill that would ban abortion from unwanted pregnancy on a federal level. Now, this would have to be carefully authored, but I'm convinced it can be done. Congressman Mark Vesey is funded by thousands of dollars by Planned Parenthood and other abortion partners. If our campaign is being funded by abortion blood money, then yes, I'm going to call you out on it. Yet, Lieutenant Colonel, I do believe that when I'm in Congress, my immediate focus would be to help safeguard our economic growth. It is to take Congress from both sides of the aisle to work together. I believe we must reopen America and get America running on all cylinders. And I will do my part for my constituents, for the American people first.
Well, what specifically would you like to see happen? I mean, when you talk about $16,000 per capita income in that district, how can we make sure that District 33 is not missing out on all the growth, the opportunity, the prosperity that you do see happening all across North Texas and the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
That's a good question. We need true leadership. We need someone that will actually represent our constituents here. We need the job creation, which we can bring to District 33. We need to raise the poverty level. One thing about Congressman Mark Vesey, as the old proverb saying, he continues to advocate for low income by, if you feed a man a fish, he can eat for one day, but if you show him how to fish, he can fish for a lifetime. And so we have to have the true representation. One thing about our district is we continue to focus and fight on the front lines in our campaign using a hybrid and traditional grassroots campaign. My message is clear, Lieutenant Colonel. We can no longer afford to vote against our own morals, to vote against what we believe in and what defines us and who we are. No, we must vote conservative, not because it's the only way, but because it's the right way. We must vote for our faith, for our family, and for our freedom. And again, majority of District 33 is primarily Hispanic. Traditionally, Hispanics are conservative. Mm-hmm. We have to face the fact that Hispanics tend to vote based on traditional values. If my grandma, abuela, voted Democrat, then I guess I have to vote Democrat. If my parents are Catholic, then I guess I'm Catholic. Well, that's how I was raised. Well, if John F. Kennedy were alive today, he would be considered more conservative. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Educating facts and empowering their right to register and vote is our focus. Today's Democratic agenda is not the faith, family, and freedom agenda. And it's not the Christian agenda. But there is an exodus that is occurring away from the Democratic Party, not just in District 33, but in America. Minorities are waking up and I am convinced that the minority vote, the Hispanic vote, the first-time young adult vote, and the evangelical vote will secure our victory in 2020.
Now, you talk about the conservative values within the Hispanic community. One of those conservative values is, without a doubt, small business entrepreneurship. With this current crisis that we are facing with the COVID-19 and the lockdown that we have seen going on now into its third week, how has that adversely affected the small businesses there that you see in District 33? And what would be your plan? What would be your counsel to these small businesses? How do we get them back open?
Absolutely. So this COVID-19 coronavirus took our nation and this world by surprise. But I say be encouraged, because there is a God who is still in control, and this was no surprise to him. I know many people, including close family and friends, that have been affected by this. Let me say that we need to continue to follow all CDC and local county guidelines. We must work together to flatten the curve of risk and infection. Now, this is only temporary. This is working, and this will save lives. This campaign continues to encourage those to do what is necessary to support your family. Although we face a high unemployment rate of 4.4%, there are still many jobs hiring. Work is still available now. We also encourage those to continue to support your local businesses and restaurants, small businesses. They are the backbone in our neighborhoods and communities. Although I am grateful under President Trump's leadership that Congress passed a stimulus bill for the American people, as we should start seeing deposits or checks coming in this week, starting April 15th, this is still only a temporary fix. Although I'm grateful that there are options for small business loans now available, still this is only a temporary fix. The majority of Americans cannot live on a stimulus paycheck, just as a small business owner cannot afford to go into debt over a small business loan. I'm convinced that the only real cure is to reopen and let America thrive. I'm confident in our president and in our governor to do the right thing, as a hint of reopening soon. Although we are still waiting on how the process will unfold, this could become a slow process. Let's face that. And we must have all of our financial options in order by not waiting or relying on the government. America is strong and America is great. We can get through this, and this shall pass.
Now, you're the congressman from Congressional District 33. What is your first legislative priority for your district?
Well, the first thing is make sure that we secure our economic growth, to bring in jobs, bring in jobs and opportunity for small businesses and corporate business into District 33, followed by the infrastructure. Now, let me just say that this is something that's going to be it's going to be very difficult, but we can do this on a bipartisanship. We have to have true representation here. District 33 against one of the lowest income districts. And one of the things that I want to focus on, again, is bringing job creation. This is even before the economy was booming. Bringing decreasing the employment rate, making sure that we advance those people in minority communities, job creation, unemployment, infrastructure. There's so many things atop of the line that we need to address and get fixed that Mark Vesey should have done long ago. And this is going to be a slow process, but it has to be done.
Okay, so how can people follow you? How can people support you and connect with your campaign?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I would like to say that this next coming election in 2020 is going to be an election of morals. And I'm not just talking about the fate of the greatest nation in the world. And this is not just about freedom versus socialism. As Democrats, they continue to add more socialist ideology to their agenda. But I believe this is also spiritual warfare. We still have an America to fight for. We're fighting for our freedom and for our children's children. You know, Lieutenant Colonel, I have a 7-year-old grandson named Fabian Vasquez. I don't need him coming to me asking me 15 years later, you know, Papa, how come you didn't do anything before when all this happened? I'm fighting for my family. And if you live in District 33, which includes parts of Dallas and Fort Worth and Arlington and Grand Prairie, Irving, Altum City, Forest Hill, Evermint, Saginaw, and Sampson Park, I'm asking for your support, for your prayers, for your donations, your permission, your vote to represent the people of Texas's 33rd Congressional District. We can do better, and we will do better. And for more information about our website, please check out our campaign at www.fcv2020.com.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard from Fabian Cordova Vasquez, who is the Republican nominee candidate for U.S. Congressional District 33 here in the Lone Star State of Texas. Fabian, we wish you all the best, and we will continue to try to give you a platform and elevate people, because we do need to have a voice and we do need to have representation in these urban inner city communities who really need to hear our message more than anyone else all across the United States of America, all across the great state of Texas. So God bless you, and thank you so very much.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West. God bless you too.
Have a great day. Hey, Fabian, thanks so much for taking the time. And now, as promised, we're going to go to the Jefferson County GOP chairwoman, and that is Judy Nichols. Judy, welcome to the show. Judy is a fifth-generation Texan, moved to Nederland, Texas in July of 1994. After working across the country in executive capacity and as a certified trainer for 3 multinational pizza corporations, Judy was finally able to achieve her goal of settling down in Southeast Texas permanently, where she became a very successful franchisee for Papa John's Pizza. With her beloved husband, Michael, they have incorporated and operate a management company and a land development company in addition to their 3-unit pizza franchise. Judy has provided strong leadership to thousands of young adults entering the workforce and has become increasingly concerned over the last decade with the diminishing potential for their future. After graduating from Greenville High School in Greenville, Texas, Judy attended East Texas State University, now known as Texas A&M Commerce, University of Kentucky Ashland, where she obtained a business degree, Lamar University and Lamar Institute of Technology School of Real Estate. She is a licensed real estate agent and accomplished businesswoman, and along with her husband, they have 3 grown children and 5 grandpuppies. Several of those puppies I have come to know and love very much. So Judy, thank you so much for being here with us.
My pleasure, Alan. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I got to tell you, first thing we want to talk about is, right now we're in week 3 of this shelter in place, stay at home, forced isolation, whatever you want to call it. But we are really starting to see some severe adverse effects on our small businesses. And you being a small business owner and having a background in that, tell us what have been some of the consequences and ramifications, and how do we get this economy back going so that we can get Americans back to work and our small businesses back open?
Well, it's incredibly concerning, Alan. We've taught the American people to not be the American people. No longer are we going to gather. What's that going to do to our gyms? What's that going to do to our theaters? How are they going to go back to life before the government changed it so dramatically? My business has seen an incredibly unfair advantage because the government mandated all my competitors stop competing against me. And I feel like I won through default. It's not,
And you're talking about in the pizza franchise industry.
Yeah, we're a pizza delivery company. We're essential. We're essential. Yeah, thank goodness that there's now aggregators in the internet. Aggregators are the DoorDashes of the world and the Uber Eats that can deliver for my competitive restaurants. But I want to win because I have a superior product with great kids taking great care of my neighbors. I don't want to win because all my competitors had to shut their doors. That's just not reasonable. It's not the American way.
And you bring up a great point. It is almost as if some people are deciding who are the winners and the losers when they get the opportunity to say what is essential and what is non-essential. Who would have ever thought that on an Easter Sunday we would see churches, their doors closed because someone deemed them not to be essential. So when we look at what is happening and the unemployment rate that is increasing, some businesses may not be able to come back. And we have this stimulus that has been instituted and passed and signed into law. What really can we do to get our businesses back to work? And can we just simply trust business owners to be the adults and make the right decisions about precautions during this COVID-19 issue?
Well, you would think, in the litigious society that we have, we have to be very measured in our responses and approaches to market forces. It's just really, really deeply concerning that the apple cart's been so completely upset. The rules have changed overnight. The business model and business kind of gets used to this a little bit. I built my business model based on a minimum wage that was $3.65. That's changed a lot through government mandate, so you kind of get used to dealing with responding to just the whims of we the people. But this is pretty unprecedented. I'm not exactly confident that we're going to come out the other side looking at all like we looked going into this.
And when you say that, what's your biggest concern?
Well, what are the world gyms of the world going to do? What is the theaters of the play? A restaurant can probably put up plexiglass between booths and, put in some measures that can make people comfortable. But for something that gives us has so to date given us no more fatality than a mild flu season, we've completely upended business and all the business models, the way all of them were written, mine to the good, yours to the bad, his to the we don't even know yet because he has no idea if he's going to be able to open again. This is going to have some, I'm afraid, really long-term ramifications that I think we've got a ways to go yet to see how this is going to affect us in the long run.
Now, if you were invited to the White House to be part of an economic task force about reopening this country for business, because you have extensive experiences in small business. What advice, what counsel would you give to the president and other gathered people there in the White House?
It is a bit above my pay grade, but I think
No.
the one thing that I would preach loudly and proudly and repeatedly until the American people get the message is be not afraid. You know, we're in much stronger hands than any government could ever deliver. This pandemic has just not wrought the peril that it was first thought to bring to bear. You know, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback it and say, oh, it's not so bad now, but you know, it's really not so bad now. It's nowhere near what a normal flu season would give you. You look at the deaths you get from the car. Are we just going to all stop driving? Are we gonna hibernate for life because the wheel kills so many people? You know, what about suicide kills a lot of people? You know, I hate to tell you, nobody's getting out of this alive. Nobody. You know, our faith needs to be where it belongs, and not so much, I think, in government, which is one of the things that got me involved in politics.
Well, let's make that transition. Let's take off the small business owner hat of Judy Nichols and put on your chairman of the Jefferson County Republican Party hat. How has this COVID-19 really thrown a kink into your operations? As far as we know, this is the time when we would be having our county convention and Senate district conventions. How have you adjusted because of the shelter at home and stay at home? How are you able to continue to get your message out in Jefferson County?
We haven't. You know, we were supposed to have our county convention on March the 21st, according to statute. You know, that's when it's required by the rules that we have it. I gavelled the convention in the county. We have a county convention. Some places in Texas have a Senate district convention, but in Jefferson County, it's a county convention. And I gavelled it in and postponed it to a time later determined by the chair. And I'm talking to my leadership team now, and you know, a lot of them are as frustrated as I am that we've just given up our sovereignty to this virus. But, you know, by the same token, there's a whole lot of people in my constituency who are no longer going to feel comfortable gathering in a group to have a convention. And that's pretty reasonable, because most of the people that are involved in party politics are older. You know, you're primarily retired at that point in life where you can participate in the political process that actively, as far as getting, you know, conventions and elected office. So it's just, you know, I'm trying to measure, how do I responsibly make sure all my constituents get heard? Because that's what a convention's all about. It's making sure that everyone gets heard. This is a time when we come together and define what it means to be a Republican in Jefferson County, Texas. And then all that's amalgamated with all the platforms of all the other counties. And then we come together now in July and have a state convention and define what it means to be a Republican in Texas. And now the national convention is going to be held later, obviously. You know, you would think. It's just a domino effect that we have no solutions for in leadership. We don't know if we're going to be able to add a digital component. The parliamentarian feels like that's a violation of the rules. Well, we need to change the rules. Well, the SREC can't change the rules. That's the State Republican Executive Committee. They can't meet and change the rules until they can meet in person. Well, they can't meet in person in the month of April. Do we have a meeting set up for May 1st? No, because we don't know if the shelter in place is going to be lifted and we can meet in greater numbers than 10 people in the state of Texas on May 1st. But I think we should have that ready to go at that time. It's just a great time. It's uncomfortable that it's a time of turmoil, because this is the political process. It's pretty important.
Now, when you mention these things, you know, being in the military for, 20 plus some odd years, we had this mantra of, improvise, adapt, and overcome, because you don't sit around and say, okay, we can't do this. You got to figure out what can be done. So, as a chairman, and then also as a small business owner, but as a chairman, of the Jefferson County Republican Party. What are some of the recommendations? What are some of the things that you think could be done? And how can we leverage technology so that we don't become paralyzed through this system of analysis?
Well, I'm frustrated by that system of analysis, I guess you can tell. I've looked into the rules, and the rules are not incredibly clear, because at a time when these rules were written, technology wasn't what it is today, and this was not really foreseen, that people could actually meet and gather without being close to one another. I just feel like we should go ahead and meet, but then I'm putting my own personal belief system into effect, which isn't how you represent your constituents. You know, there are going to be people that, no matter what, are going to be very uncomfortable coming together in a convention setting, and they would like to meet electronically. I would like to put that into place. The rules are a little gray. I probably could if I wanted to, but should I invent the wheel on my own as a county party chair, or should I wait for economies of scale? You know, this is a time when people are going to be voting on platform planks and committee business. There needs to be a secure methodology for that voting to take place, and it seems like it would be, you know, much more reasonable to let the party get the economies of scale together and come up with a methodology for voting that are going to benefit all of my constituents, you know, and not just the brave or foolhardy that want to come out and meet in a group.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe there's some amalgamation of the two. I know that a lot of people are expressing frustration when you hear members of the, you know, House of Representatives or the Senate saying that, you know, we can't get together and meet and vote or whatever. We're not comfortable with coming back to Washington, D.C. I think this is a great opportunity for us to look at all the different levels of technology that we have now, the innovation that we have now that can enable us to do the things that, you're right, no one would have ever thought possible. I remember in 1991, when I was in Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, I was there for 6 months. I got 2 letters during the entire time. But, you know, in 2005 to 2007, when I'm in Afghanistan, I'm sitting there in my hooch doing, you know, the Skype thing and, you know, going back and forth and looking at my wife and daughters in real time. So I think it's important that we improvise and we adapt and overcome. In the closing minute that I have, Judy, where can people find you and be connected with the Jefferson County Republican Party?
We're a pretty active Facebook community here in Jefferson County. Jefferson County Republican Party on Facebook is a really good place. You can reach me personally on my personal Facebook. We have a website. I think you've got the link you can put in the comments. But, you know, websites are almost old news nowadays. Everything seems to be moving at the speed of social media. And like you, I see no reason why we can't innovate our way out of this. We're Americans. It's what we do.
Absolutely right. And finally, what is the one big challenge that you have in this election cycle going forward down there in Jefferson County, Texas, which is Beaumont, Port Arthur?
One, I wish if I was to choose just one, it would be turning my county red. Yeah, we're getting real close. We've been purple for the last election cycle or two. I'd like to get a much more homogeneous community where everybody in my county feels like they can feel at home at my party. You know, that there's not an air of exclusivity that is promulgated by the media. Yeah, there's a lot of little challenges, but the big one is I want to turn my county red.
All right, we're going to help to do that. All right, Judy Nichols, Chairman of the Jefferson County Republican Party, thanks for being with us on Chairman Chats.
Thanks for having me.
Take care, Judy. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us on Chairman Chats. Hopefully you enjoyed our show this evening with Fabian Vasquez and also Chairman Judy Nichols of the Jefferson County Republican Party. And remember to tune in every Tuesday evening for our Chairman Chats, where we will bring you some movers and shakers in the Republican Party of Texas, all from this great Lone Star State. God bless you. Have a great night.